1, 2, 3.
You know already, and here is my colleague Mariya. We are working with our products, and today we want to share with you our experience and introduce ourselves. And in the end, we want to share with you some materials, so please don't forget. So I want to notify you that this presentation is not aimed on the professional analysts, as the theory will cover only the top of all the knowledges, but we will share the tools that you may use during analysis your users to understand them better, what they need. Why we all need to know our users is we work with you integrators, and we collect from you requests, and you work with your end customers. So you can collect their requests and work with them as we do. So as a basic, we will take a theory of human-centered design. This theory focused on the users, and we work on the every stage from their view of use for user, for end user who will use this program. And let's start from principles of human-centered design. And the first principle is focus upon the people. What does it mean? First of all, think about the person who will use your program, because a program is just a tool which person will use to solve his problems. The second principle is find the right problem, because sometimes we don't see the whole picture. We try to solve just a symptom of some problem, but only when we find the root of the problem, and when we solve the root of the problem, only then we may be sure that the problem is solved. Because in the other way, we may do something, but this may not solve the problem of these people, and he will be unhappy. Third is think of everything as a system. Now, if we look at some system, we see the overall view of this product. So if we make just one part good and another is so-so, then the overall view will be also so-so. So we cannot make just one part good. And the fourth principle, always test your design decision. It doesn't matter how many time we spend to design and research. We need to prove that we do all the best for our user, and now the system is finished and we may stop. Another way, we should continue developing, continue changes until the user will be happy. And our plan for today, first of all, to look through the idea. Disappear my presentation, please. So we will see where from we take the ideas. The second part will be how we can do business research. Then how to elicitate and analyze requirements. Some hints about solution design, and then we'll talk about how to test our solution. So we'll wait a minute until the presentation is ready again. So this is our plan. First point is idea. From what is the first step to start any product, any adventure or anything? This is an idea. And this is some sources that we may use for ideas. First of all, this is our users. Those who work with product every day have another point of view than we have, so their experience is very important for us and may bring many ideas. Second is colleagues. We may get some ideas during the lunch, for example. Also metrics and analytics of the product. If the product exists, it also have a lot of information inside, so it's very useful to know them and to use them. Also competitors. I do not recommend copying, but the experience of competitors may bring good insights. Also, some ideas may come from the air, just unlogical, absolutely, but it may be also useful. Ideas may come from related areas or while brainstorming. The next step is business research. Why we should do business research? So we have some idea, and seems it's good, but we should know what profit it may bring, what problems it should solve, what resources we should use to release it. So we should compare, we should think, is it worth working under this idea? So this is an example of cloud tech for our new product Hectera. When we just started, had so many ideas about what is the topic of the Hectera, and try to make a map, the cloud, and then we see maybe not all, but almost all the topics in the sphere. Then after that, we decided what is our topic and what is not, what we will cover with our product and what is not ours. The next example is a competitor research. This is an example for Hectera, or for Fleetron, sorry. It was useful to get deeper into the domain to understand the theme better. And my favorite tool, Feature Canvas, is just a set of questions, but in fact, while you are answering all these questions, you get a lot of information that cover very big size of the knowledge you bring you. This is just points, but every point should be wider. Answered wider. For example, while you are researching target audience, you need to answer who are the users, what problems they have, do the users themselves know that they have this problem, how did we know that users have this problem, and what profit they may have if we solve this problem. This is an example. This is an example for Feature Canvas for new CMS manager, and we have a problem that our CMS manager is outdated. We made a research and get that we don't need to do these changes, as our users think that it is not important for them and would not help their businesses. The next tool is empathy map. Let's start from the term. What is empathy? Empathy is primarily a sincere interest and respect for the opinion of another person. The desire to understand him, why we do or do not do some things. So why it's worth using? It helps to systematize knowledges, to understand what the products solve or what it don't, and to get a basis for design decisions in the future. This is the area questions we should answer, and down you see the results, the conclusions that we should do during the whole process. and we get the pain and the gain that user have and will have after the getting solution. So this is an example of a video monitoring that we made some time ago, and the pain was that the devices cost too much and we have not enough functionality in VLAN now. And again, that users should reduce expenses and they want to work with the solution easily. Now, the next tool is Persona. High priority task for Persona that all team members should understood for whom they desire their product, for whom they develop their product. Because if they just ask, what if a user do this? You can ask, why our Helen will do this? Here is a Helen, here is her story, and why she would do this. And if the answer is correct, then we should think about this case. This is not real pattern. It's just some kind of a common user that use our particular program. We consist it from some main characteristic of our users. So now we have an idea. We decided that it was worth developing, and now we should continue with elicitation and analysis of requirements, and I will pass microphone to Mariya.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I totally agree with Tatsiana, and in case theater begins with a cloakroom, then all of our developments, every new feature that we start doing begins with the defining of vision and scope. And even a small functionality, we always try to think why we need to do this, what problem will it solve. And basically, on the first line, we see that if we're looking at this table, you can see that there are a couple of questions that we try to answer when we think of product vision and scope. The first one is general vision. So we firstly identify what it is going to be. Is it going to be a web application, a desktop application, some chatbot, or whatever it can be? And what is the primary goal that we try to solve? The next question that we ask ourselves is target audience, who our users are. And in case you ask me for an example, let's say for FleetRun, we identified 3 of them. These are our partners, integrators, fleet owners, and fleet managers. Then come the needs. These are what Gurtam, so us and you, our partners, why we need this. Not users, but us. And an example, a very vivid one example here is releasing of Yectera. So when we start creating it, we were thinking that with the help of this new application, we will be able to broaden our expansion on the market, especially on the market where there are where agriculture is a very developed sphere. And the last but not the least are business goals, and here we identify what we will achieve as Gurtam, as a company, and you as partners in case the application is there, it's on the market, and it is successful. So you see a real example of a product and vision document. It can be done orally. It can be not that much into a table, but just a couple of sentences that identifies the concept. And if you remember that cloud of tags that Tatsiana showed, so here we see that there were numerous of problems that we can solve, but we decided for us that it will be only that controlling of a whole cycle of agricultural crops raising, and we concentrated on this. And if somebody asks us to do a legal card of a field, we say, no, it's not in our concept, it's not in our vision. Then, when we have identified that we need a solution, we already made it a vision, and we have some goals that we need to achieve. So it's pretty much clear. We start the following stage, and it is connected with the elicitation of requirements. Firstly, let me say what is a requirement. A requirement is how our users see the system, what they want it to be, what they want the system to do, and what answers our users want to get from the system. And basically, on this slide, you can see that there are numerous types of of requirements, but I would like you to give some examples so that you understand that I'm talking truth here. So first, for instance, business requirement, and a very good one to mention here is a requirement to have private trips. It is a very important requirement for us, for Gurtam, because it will help us to broaden our expansion on the European market, because we all know that in Europe it is in legislation that when an employee drives a vehicle and he is not at work at the moment, we don't have a right to identify the location. So it means that it is a business requirement, which is very important for us. Functional requirements are just requirements, user requirements. They come in from users. For example, being able to see what driver is attached to a unit in reports for a quicker and better analysis of reports. Interesting to mention that there are also business rules and attributes of quality, and if we touch upon business rules, this will be some rules of a company that help her follow her path. And in our case, we can mention update of VLON local once a year. So this is a business requirement, business rule. In case of quality attributes, we always think about the browsers that we support, their versions, and of course, how our system perform. So performance. A good example here is how our system performs and how much it takes her to load the monitoring page. In case this or that amount of units are there in the monitoring panel. Okay, and we do not dream requirements, so they're not coming just from nowhere. There are certain sources where we get them. The first one are you, so our integrators, because you are linking us to real customers and their real needs. And here I would like to pinpoint a very important thing for us, for Gurtam development team, that when we get requirements from you, we do not start implementing them from the very beginning. We try to understand the root cause of this problem. And that's why we talk with you on forum, we send you emails, we try to talk to you on Skype, and in the future, in some time, when you get any request from us to answer a couple of questions, please do not ignore them, because they really make very much value for us. The next source that I would like to mention are also internal experts, like our technical support team and implementation specialists, because they are closely working with you, and that's why they are more aware of what problems you face. And the last that I would like to mention is the development team, because we spend with these products that we develop almost half of our day, and sometimes we also see what can be done better, and we try to follow it. And now that we have gathered all the requirements from you, for example, for some new solution, we need to understand what we are going to do at the first step and what can be done later. And we need to prioritize them, because, for instance, now I know that in the lists of requirements or wishes that we have for our products, there are numerous of requirements. So how we prioritize them? We have the following tool, and we try to categorize our requirements into 4 parts. The first one is metric movies. So these are features that closely connected to the company business goals, and we do not do it if we are not sure if this is company strategy or not. The next one is customer requests. So these are basically your requests that you tell us in personal communication or any other way. The next one is delight. So delight features are the ones that are compromised by a development team based on our experience in user experience, development, and the aim of such features is to delight our customers, and almost always it is done in quite unexpected ways. And strategic features are the ones that do not bring immediate value, but lay the basis for future foundation for future developments. The next tool for prioritization, and we use it a lot in Gurtam, is to compare how much value we will get from this development and how much we will lose based on resources, people resources, and finances. And you see also there some coefficients here, and these are the ones that we make up based on company strategy. And I'm showing here you an example of such a prioritization that we made for a feature of notifying per Telegram. So this is how we identified what is the priority and when we will start developing it. And here you can also see a real example of how this, as I said, huge list of requirements look like. We divide it into certain columns that predefine the status of each requirement, whether it's done, whether it's still in analysis or in design. And these colorful lines identify to what section they really apply in the system, just for not losing them and quick orientation. And I would also like to say a couple of words about designing the solution. So when we start, we have everything that we have said before, and we need to understand on paper what our product will be. We start developing our solution, and we use for it the following tool. It is story map. So story is basically one small step in a system that user does. It consists particularly in a couple of levels, and the first level is goals. So these are user goals that they try to achieve. If you look at the story map of Litron, these are some examples of the goals that they were, like authorization, fleet administration, creating a service intervals. Then the next level and how we divide goals are user steps. For instance, if we look at the user steps of creating a service interval goal, we see that we have divided them into specify interval settings, specify work and parts, and etc. So it means that each goal is divided further on into several user steps. And the last is a small and minimal story, which is actually then given to development. And if we take as an example specifying our work and parts step, we see that user story is specify name and description. So it usually should be very, very small, and this is what our developers get in order to understand what they need to do. Then we prioritize this using the tools that I have just mentioned, but just a quick life hack. The cards that are on the top of this map, they will be the more prioritized. The ones that are at the bottom, we are turning to them later on. And if we see that we cannot have everything in the first version of the product, we divide also the map into several releases and say that this part we will do at the first time, and all the other things we will leave for future updates. And this is the template of how our technical task looks like. We have them different for different projects, but the main thing is that I would like to outline is that we always think of the problem, and we put it down also in a technical task so that our developers also know why they do this or that feature, and we always identify who asked which partner and what was the circumstances of asking for a particular feature, so that we know the source of a requirement as well. And this is just an example of how it actually looks like, a real one from the VLAN hosting project. And I guess this is it from my side. I'll give a word to finish this presentation to Tatsiana.
Yes. So after all this done and our users see the solution, we should test it. Is it enough to be done? Are our users happy or not? And should we continue or not? So we do some tests, and here is tools that we use for tests. It's interview, polls, surveys, user research, metrics, beta, and focus groups. So here is an example of a survey that we made like 9 months ago about the functionality of VLAN, about your satisfaction. And this is the example about the fuel model. And you see the results. Surveys, the plus of surveys is that they show the general mood of your users. But only interview may show a qualitative side and show the reasons of why we have such results. So the next is metrics. Metrics can be technical or can be business. Technical is some kind of low speed load or something like that, and metrics of a product should be based on the goals of the company. The absolute metric for VLAN is number of units, but for some tasks we have another metrics that show the results of the task. And this was an example about a monitoring panel and the number of units there. So we see that a median number is 3, that then it is the most common case for our users, and we should put more attention for this case. And the last tool I would talk about is beta, and this is an example of Hectera. We show our users beta version of the application maybe 2 months before the official release. So during this beta, we got a lot of feedback and even changed some algorithms and further plans. After we tested our solution, get feedback, we start from the beginning, specifying the context of use, specifying requirements, and so on. Continue our development circle till the end, till we do everything that our users want to have in our system. And now, thank you for your attention. This is what we wanted to show you. I hope now you understand us better, why we do or do not some your proposals, and hope it was useful. And try all these tools, or some of them, to understand us better and to understand your users also. Thank you, and let's share some